Let's face it, looking for real estate and buying a home in the United States isn't what most of us thought it was going to be. We were supposed to buy affordable homes with yards and neighbors that wave at you every time they see you. The reality is much different, with stress and costs so high, it makes you think you're living in a simulation that was rigged against you, with HOAs acting like mini dictatorships. Finding a city where people are genuinely happy with their homes feels like stumbling upon a unicorn. The good news is, some lucky souls manage to beat the system and do just that. They find that unicorn. Today, I'm going to tell you some places that could be your unicorn. We are looking at the top 10 cities where people are actually happy with their homes and not just faking it for Instagram. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, Bend, Oregon. Bend homeowners are happy because their houses are basically adult tree houses. Think cozy cabins with wood-burning stoves, massive decks, and views that make you forget the concept of stress. Plus, Bend's real estate market hasn't gone full bananas yet. It is up there, but it's not as bad as Portland, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Seattle. Now, when I tell you the price, you're going to go, that is very expensive, because it is almost double the national average, which right now is $357,000. Life in Bend is all about the great outdoors. Skiing, hiking, paddleboarding, you name it, they got it. When the locals aren't adventuring, they're sipping craft beer. Yeah, and that's no joke. Seriously, this town has more breweries than people, it seems like. If you're looking for a place where your home feels like a vacation, Bend is what you're looking for. If you look at all their stats, other than cost of living, everything's great. Really good. Low crime, great healthcare, great jobs, hardly any commute. The schools are phenomenal. You just got to have some money to live here. The average home value in Bend, Oregon is $734,000. Number 9, Durham, North Carolina. Durham homeowners are thrilled because their houses are charming, affordable, and surrounded by greenery that makes you feel like you're living in a Hallmark movie. From renovated bungalows to modern townhomes, there's something for everyone in Durham. And this whole metro area is great. The whole triangle they got there. Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, great place to live. Durham's vibe is a mix of southern charm and hipster. Locals spend their days exploring galleries, hitting up craft breweries, and pretending to be food critics at some of the city's best restaurants. If you don't know, this is very much a college football area, with Duke basketball practically being a religion. This whole metro area has become very popular, and a lot of people are moving there over the last handful of years. I mean, it's always been popular, but it's just gaining steam, I would say, in the last 5 years. But prices are still affordable. If you look at their stats, they're doing pretty good. Everything is really good except for their crime and their schools. Now, their colleges are amazing there. Their high school and down, they don't get the best grades. Some of them do, not all of them though. And their crime. Their crime is only 72% above the national average. And if this is your first time here, I say it all the time, we've got places in this country where it's like 450% above the national average. So 72% is not that bad. It's not great, but it's not that bad. The average home value in Durham, North Carolina is $399,000. Number 8, Madison, Wisconsin. Madison's happy homeowners are proof that you don't need to live in a major metropolitan area to have it all. Homes here are affordable, spacious, and often come with a massive backyard, perfect for grilling, brats, and avoiding mosquitoes, which kind of hard in the summer in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. I mean, it is in a lot of places, but they have it pretty bad. All that water around. This college town is about as Midwestern as it gets, with friendly neighbors and an overabundance of cheese-related events. You'll find locals biking around the city's lakes or cheering on the Badgers. And when winter hits, they'll remind you repeatedly how much they love the snow. At least that's November, December. By the time January gets there, they're usually pretty sick of it. I've been to Madison several times. I really like this town, really. Their stats aren't terrible, the commute's really low, cost of living's not bad, their crime isn't bad, employment, healthcare, and housing is pretty good. Schools are about average. Not a bad place to live. The average home value here is $391,000. Number 7, Nashville, Tennessee. Nashville's kind of interesting. Most people think of it as just a tourist spot, but I know a few people that have moved there and are really happy, raised their kids there, had a good time, really enjoyed the city of Nashville, Tennessee. But Nashville homeowners love their abodes because they're a mix of rustic charm and modern convenience. Think reclaimed wood accents, farmhouse sinks, and enough shiplap to make Joanna Gaines proud. Plus, the cost of living isn't insane yet, which makes homeownership actually achievable. Give it some time though. It's been growing and growing and growing, and eventually it's just going to be through the roof, like every place else. Life in Nashville is like one long music festival. From honky-tonk bars to massive concerts, there's always a tune in the air. When you're there dancing, locals can be found chowing down hot chicken or exploring the city's growing craft beer scene. They all seem to have a good craft beer scene. Do you know why? That's what millennials and Gen Z is into. And a lot of us Gen X are still pretty into that too. Nashville's pretty close to being a perfect place to buy a home right now. If you can get past the crime, it's about 112% above the national average. But everything else is pretty good. Commute, cost of living, amenities, obviously, employment, great, housing, great, and healthcare's great. Schools are pretty decent too. The average home value in Nashville, Tennessee is $428,000. Today's video is sponsored by Factor. Factor makes meeting your nutritional goals easier than ever before by delivering fresh, never frozen, dietitian-approved meals right to your doorstep. They got some really good meals. I like the chili chicken. That one's pretty good. They also have a fajita one that is delicious. I also like these wellness shots, which I think I'm having too many of these. They're pretty good. Personally, I love the fact that there's no prep, no mess. Factor's meals are 100% ready to heat and eat, so there's no prepping, no ingredients you have to add to it, no cleanup needed. You also have a flexible schedule. Get as much or as little as you need by choosing 6 to 18 meals per week. Plus, you could pause or reschedule your deliveries anytime. They have a lot to choose from. Keto, smart calorie, vegan, veggie. There's over 35 different options a week to choose from. Head to factor75.com or click the link below to use code 50Briggs to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Now back to the video. Number 6, Scottsdale, Arizona. Scottsdale homeowners are happy because their houses are more luxurious than a resort. From infinity pools to open-air kitchens, these homes scream, "I've made it." But I still want to think that I'm humble. The weather is great, assuming you're into the permanent state of summer. Scottsdale is basically a playground for adults with disposable income. Whether you're hitting up the high-end golf courses, dining at 5-star restaurants, or shopping at designer boutiques, there's no shortage of ways to spend your money here. And if you're tired of all that and don't want to spend some money, you can go home and get in your spa-like bathroom. I looked at real estate there one time. Everyone has bathtubs with jets. At least the newer homes do. Statistically, they're great other than cost of living. It is expensive to live in Scottsdale. And you'll see that by when I tell you the prices to buy a home here. But they got great schools, healthcare is great, employment's great, housing, crime's really low, the commute's, reasonable, and they've got plenty of things to do. Just that cost of living is terribly high. If you want to buy a home here, the average home value is $827,000. Yes, Virginia, that has doubled the national average. Number 5, Irvine, California. Have you ever heard of Irvine, California? If you live in Southern California, you probably have, but most people don't. They've never heard of it. It's a Orange County place to live, and it's nice. Irvine homeowners are happy because their homes are like an HGTV dream sequence come to life, with sleek modern designs, energy efficient everything, and enough smart home gadgets to make Elon Musk jealous. Plus, Irvine's meticulously planned neighborhoods, your house is probably steps away from a park, a school, or a Whole Foods. Because priorities, right? When I was, getting to move out age, or I was in the Army, but as my friends got towards 20, 21, and started getting married, they all looked at homes in Irvine and Lake Forest, places like that. Now, these places are extremely expensive right now. Back then, they weren't as bad. They were actually more affordable than the beach town I grew up in. Most of us couldn't afford homes in our own hometown, like so many of people in America right now. As that started getting expensive, people moved out to Temecula, which is further southeast, or up to Hemet if you had no money. But life in Irvine is as picturesque as it gets. The weather is perpetually sunny, the crime rate is low enough to make you suspicious, and the schools are top notch. Locals spend their weekends at the Great Park, enjoying farmers markets, and pretending they're nature enthusiasts on one of the many hiking trails. And let's not forget its proximity to Disneyland, because nothing says I'm living my best life like knowing Mickey Mouse is just a short drive away. And if you go there, you better have some money. I went there, I think last year, maybe last summer, the summer before last. Took the whole family there, my granddaughter, first time there. I make good money, and I was startled by how expensive it got. I used to go there all the time when my kids were little. We had season tickets. We'd just go there, spend a few hours all the time. It was great. Now, it's like 2 house payments to take your kids there. But Irvine does have a really good water park, Wild Rivers. It's not a bad place to hang out. If you look at the stats, everything's pretty good. Commute's decent. For this part of the state, that's remarkable. Crime's low, employment's good, healthcare is decent, housing is decent, schools are phenomenal. It's just got a cost of living issue. It's getting more expensive all the time. Now, buckle up for the price. The average home value here is $1.5 million. That's the average home value. That's quite cheap compared to some of the cities around Irvine. Just to the west, you have Newport Beach, where the average home value is $3.5 million. You go down a little bit further, Laguna Beach, and it's $2.9 million. Yeah, it's pretty expensive. Number 4, Charleston, South Carolina. In Charleston, people are happy with their homes because they're living in a literal postcard. I love Charleston. Whether it's the historic mansions with wrought iron gates or a charming pastel row of houses, these homes scream, I have taste and money, but mostly money. Plus, the southern hospitality extends to neighbors who actually wave at you, which is a rarity in most cities these days. As for life in Charleston, it's a mix of old world charm with modern indulgence. You could spend your mornings exploring cobblestone streets and the afternoons stuffing your face with shrimp and grits. And let's not forget the beaches, because nothing says I love my home like knowing that you can escape to the ocean after a stressful day of existing. Statistically, Charleston's not a bad place to live. I mean, the only thing that sucks is their commute. That's pretty bad, but even their crime rate, that's 3% lower than the national average. Their employment is good, their housing is good, their healthcare is good, and their schools are phenomenal. They've got all the things you need to do, so it's got a good amenities rating. And they're not too far above the national average when it comes to the housing market. The average home value in Charleston, South Carolina is $562,000. Number 3, Portland, Oregon. Yes, Portland. People say they like their homes here. All you ever hear is bad press about Portland. That's the downtown area. As you get away from the downtown area, it's a great place to live. Most people just don't get that. All you hear is the negative stuff. People in Portland are happy with their homes because they're quirky, just like the people who live in them. We have craftsman-style homes with charming front porches and enough yard space for your mandatory chicken coop. Home prices are relatively reasonable, assuming you're okay with your neighbor's art installation that's doubling as a political statement. Portland's life revolves around coffee, craft beer, and complaining about Californians moving in. On the weekends, locals hit up farmers markets, Powell's City of Books, or one of the 800 parks scattered across the city. Good news, they don't have homeless camps in them anymore. Well, at least most of them. If you're lucky, you might even catch a drum circle in action, because who doesn't love an impromptu display of rhythm and existential angst? Really, if you can get past the weather and the downtown that's not the greatest right now, Portland is still a beautiful city and it's a wonderful place to live. People are nice, things are affordable, it rains, everything's clean outside of downtown. I live in one of the suburbs. I love Portland, still to this day. It's got its problems, which have been, all over right-wing media, but it gets them their clicks. Statistically speaking, once you get past the crime and the cost of living, Portland's stats are pretty decent. Employment numbers are great, healthcare is great, housing is great, schools are a little above average, and the commute isn't terrible. Now, just to be fair, the crime rate in downtown Portland is about 175% above the national average. That is not good. But that is down from 2 years ago when it was 224% above the national average. A majority of that is property crime, and it's related to the homeless situation and all our other problems. But I've lived in a few different states. I've stayed in many cities for a week or two. In my experience, the friendliest, nicest people I've ever lived around is the Portland metro area. The average home value in Portland, Oregon is $527,000. Number 2, Austin, Texas. Sure, the traffic makes you want to scream, but Austin homeowners are happy because their houses double as hipster sanctuaries. Think modern design, massive backyard decks for barbecue, and a kitchen built for Instagramming your sourdough starter. Thanks to the city's tech boom, many of the residents have enough disposable income to splurge on fancy renovations. Austin's vibe is weird, and they're proud of it. From food trucks that serve gourmet tacos to live music in literally every corner. There's always something happening in Austin, and when you're done at the party, you could retreat to your trendy bungalow and pretend you're a character in a Wes Anderson movie. Austin is a lot like Portland, Oregon when it comes to their stats. Everything's pretty good except for the crime. Their crime is only 78% above the national average, so they're definitely doing better than Portland. But their commute is also pretty good, cost of living's decent, employment numbers are good, housing is great, healthcare is great, schools are above average. And more good news is over the last year, their home prices have dropped almost 5%. Now here's the thing, if you've got a real estate market that's dropped 1%, that's a big deal. This one's 4.8 right now, down. The average home value right now is $513,000 in Austin, Texas. And number 1, Boulder, Colorado. Boulder, it's just like Bend, Oregon, but a little bit better and a little bit bigger. Boulder is where the air is fresher and the houses look like Pinterest exploded. People here are thrilled with their homes because they're often custom-built shrines to the environment. Think solar panels, open floor plans, and more plants than a botanical garden. The outdoor lifestyle adds to the charm of Boulder. With Rockies in your backyard, and every day feels like you're in a Patagonia ad. Things to do? Oh, just a little hiking, biking, and accidentally running into a famous tech entrepreneur on Pearl Street. Boulderites also love to brag about their zero-emission homes while sipping on their overpriced kombucha. If you're into yoga and not being judged for wearing leggings everywhere you go, you're in paradise. It does get cold, so buy some jackets and some good winter boots. Now, like a lot of these places that are on this list, the cost of living is kind of high. I mean, that's when people are happy with where they live. The cost of living is high. Because the cost of living is high, things are nicer there. Except in New York City. They've got plenty of things to do. The commute's decent. Employment numbers are great. The cost of living's high. Their crime rate is right about average. And healthcare is good, along with the schools are outstanding. The average home value in Boulder, Colorado is $965,000. Just under a cool million. The good news is it dropped 1.2% over the last year. All right, that's today's video. Hope you got some information out of it. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you'll probably enjoy one of the 2 videos being suggested right now. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.